so I'm going to show you a slide and tell you what we did and show it to you on the screen. And I hope that my voice after last night is going to last through this presentation today, because I can hear me and I sound horrible. So, some of you saw most of this slide the other day. I'm Jason, I've been here 2 years. Log Server's been my baby. Yada, 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 BS, BS, BS. This is me. So our quick agenda, what's new in Log Server 2026 R1? OpenSearch and Logstash infrastructure upgrades. Because, and I think I mentioned, I've told some of you already this conference that I want to use Log Server at home. I wrote the migration process to migrate data from R1 to R2. I didn't want to have to do that myself. I've waited, and it's on my real soon now list at home, as in I will get to it real soon now. I have a lot of logs to capture and analyze. That said, this is a really important step in the Log Server trajectory going forward, because I don't ever want any of you to ever have to go through that again. And if we can keep that going forward, we can do that automatically behind the scenes and eliminate a lot of that pain. Step one of that pain was upgrading Logstash from 8 to 9 in 2026. It was upgrading OpenSearch from version 2 to version 3. The migrations, the reindexing will happen under the covers when they happen, so that when OpenSearch 4 comes out down the road, the migration is not a step in the process that has to be done, it just happens. Improved cluster instance role management. I gave a good talk about this on Tuesday morning. Scale that shit. That's what the goal is there, so you can scale it to the moon and take in however many logs you need and size your hardware appropriately for it. This isn't really a 2026 R1 thing, but we greatly improved on the mapping for geocoded data in dashboards that we did when we released 2024 R2. The filters are there in place by default. You just have to turn them on to geocode, say, log data from a web server to say, my clients are here and here and here. But since it was greatly improved, literally 2 releases ago with Log Server, I'm going to show you and talk about it anyway because it looks really cool. And finally, the big deal for Log Server is what Ethan has called the Hasbro dashboards. We've had them referred to in-house as the Red Apples interface. And once again this morning, as I've done before so many dev demos in-house, I went harvesting fruit, so we've got some fruit to look at. With that, let's get started with the infrastructure upgrades. The only tell that you're really going to have for the infrastructure upgrades is actually on that instance roles page that I was talking about on Tuesday, where we're showing the version of OpenSearch. 3.1. I've got a 3-node cluster here. And on that note, this page, instance roles, it's down below management. It's down here right now, where you click on to get that. You get this wonderful page with a lot of checkboxes. You see what your current cluster manager is, and you can check the various roles that you want to have, and the cluster will manage and migrate data and move data around behind the scenes so that you can have old hardware running that manager node. Doesn't have to be performant, and so on. We're not going to directly play with that. If you want to see that in action, that was part of my demo on Tuesday, because that was my big talk here. Back to that for a minute. And the big deal with that is scaling that shit. Your log server, your logs. There are plenty of metaphors that could happen for that, but we're not going to talk about that. The next thing we're going to talk about here real quick is these awesome maps. And I'm going to take and make an assumption, and I know the rules about making assumptions, that because I think the tracks got consolidated yesterday, most of you saw Seamus's presentation with his maps. This is his cool Apache dashboard, which I understand is a derivative and a work on of Eric Lloyd's really cool Apache dashboard. So mad props go to both of those guys for putting this stuff together. This is live data. I have got one of my many websites at home. Man, where's my mouse? There's my mouse. This is live data from one of my websites at home. Pulled in from the last 24 hours, I think it was. We're using the MaxMind Lite database. That's what default comes with the GeoIP plugin for Logstash. So even though a lot of these bubbles really show up and should be right about there because they're right around the Twin Cities, that's not where it ended up geocoding to. But if I could ever figure out how to zoom out on a touchpad, that would zoom out farther, but I've never managed to figure that out. The website we're running is running Drupal. It's my big Winter Carnival running website where I talk about events that we've got going on that are treasure hunt related. We can talk about that later in the limited time we have today if anybody wants to. It's a mad hobby of mine. This is what you want to see. But this is the really cool overall Apache dashboard. This is going to make its way into a future soon release of Log Server as one of your default dashboards out of the box. And again, Eric, thank you for giving Seamus the inspiration for that, because I was talking to him and it's like, why don't we do this out of the box? Why don't we have that there? That's a really cool thing to have. And with that, I think it's time to move on. We really do need a second monitor down here, guys. To the cream of the crop in the Log Server 2026 feature list, the simple dashboards, the Hasbro dashboards, the Red Apple dashboards. We're not going to go there yet. Whew. But in Log Server, up under your profile menu now, if you're installing a clean install system, this is going to be your default, the simple. If you're upgrading, your users are going to be automatically pulled over into advanced mode because they're used to it. They expect that. But I'm going to change my mode to simple. And then I'm going to go back home. You've all probably seen what the dashboards look, what the homepage looks like before. One of the things that we did as part of this project was to take and make the original homepage into a dashboard, just like every other dashboard, just for use on that homepage. But when you're in simple mode, when you log in, you get this. We talk about simple search, explains what it is. You have the option to go back and use the old method. Click Use Advanced and you're there. It doesn't change your default for your profile. You do that up on your profile menu. But we're going to play around with simple mode. It looks like a Google page. We have buttons sitting around. You can look for 404 errors right out of the box. It fills in with, we're calling it a token internally. And you hit simple search or hit enter, and all sorts of 404 errors. I'm a bad web developer. I don't have a sitemap XML page. I don't care. That's for somebody else, not me. But yeah, I'm getting my 404s out of my site. Yeah. And if I go back and say, well, what did we talk about earlier? This is the Hasbro interface. This is the simple interface. This is the Red Apples interface. And like I've done so many times before, first of all, as soon as you click in the box, you get a drop down, and these are all of all of your pre-canned, pre-selected, pre-created filters that you can use, query templates, that you can create back in advanced mode, set them global, etc., and they'll drop down here. The buttons that are down here are populated from those. We're going to go looking for apples. Type apples, hit enter. It gets you your token for apples. You can add on to that, and those will be anded together. But let's go with apples for now. I harvested green apples. I harvested red apples. Somewhere down the page, because it was a random script, I harvested yellow apples too because they're out there. Just for simplicity's sake. And because we are on an apple orchard, and we do get worms in our apples, we occasionally get rotten apples. Oh yeah, we also get rotten grapes, rotten peppers. But the important thing about this isn't just the single word things for these tokens. It's wanting to be able to search for red apples like you would put in Google and have that come out as a single token. The only thing I'm going to see here now is red apples is one phrase right next to each other. If I scroll down that list, I am not going to see the rotten red apples because rotten is in between red and apples. I'm not going to see ripe red apples because that's not how, that's no, I can go with, at the same time, I can go with red, ripe. And the only thing I'm going to see is things that are red and ripe. But you'll notice I didn't put apples in there, so I'm also seeing the peppers and the typographical error of grapes instead of grapes every time around. But it's red and ripe. I can go back and not put a typo in, and put a typo in and not put a typo in at the same. Live demos are fun, aren't they? We'll try it. Fourth time's the charm. Oh yeah, we'll just look for red grape, and then let's see what happens with that. That is not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. 2 tokens. Hopefully the random ordering of the harvesting will actually see things that are ripe and rotten in here too. Oh, we won't, because I didn't harvest any red grapes. I harvested red grapes. And I'm just using the back arrow on the browser for convenience sake. You notice the tokens were still in there. You can still use that there too. It matches full words. But now, that's too much work, Paul. And hey, I did get some ripe grapes in there. Individual tokens get anded together so your log has to match both things that you put there. Single tokens, it's the single token. It's as though you put quotes around it if you were typing something into your search engine. This is the big deal, the simple mode. It's your home page out of the box versus if I go and set myself back to advanced mode, the default home page, it's a new dashboard. It's like what you had before. All the widgets that you had, they've been reactified. They all lazy load. So your home page is going to load like that. And depending on how long your queries take to run is going to determine how long it takes each individual widget to populate. And I don't know where the heck my mouse is. But it's all the same things you're used to seeing on the front page. Just a little bit slightly more, cooler looking. Log server instance, log server instance, log server instance. Days worth of logs from my primary web server at home. So that's about it for what I have to show you about all this stuff. I'm not going to take and do a deeper dive into the instance roles because we covered that on Tuesday morning, and you'll be able to go back and watch the videos for that later. Anything anybody want to see, because this is supposed to be a hands-on FA/FO session. So let's FA and FO. Eric Lloyd.
So back into simple mode for a moment.
Sure thing.
Because that's the new stuff.
That's the new shit.
All right, so if you type in red and hit enter, and you type in apple and hit enter, you get nothing because you don't have any red apple.
I don't have a red apple, I have red apples.
So is there a way to do a either case insensitive or wildcard or anything like that sub-searched in the simple interface?
I don't believe so in our 1.0.0, because I believe if we did, we'd see that. But we can try what might work. Nope, the wild card doesn't work on that. But I will put that on the list of things to change.
Thank you.
Because that's critical. That's a use case that I don't think ever got thought about.
Eric and I asking the exact same questions. Lucene syntax that you're using in NLS, wildcards, regular expressions inside of tokens for searches.
Apparently not at the moment.
So what about regular expression syntax instead of just running a wildcard? Say if you did, let's just go, with a caret and then apples, or look for a rear of the word. And see.
Caret probably not the beginning, not a good idea, but.
This is obviously getting beyond simple.
No, it's a fair question though, because there are people who are probably going to want to use simple mode to not have to deal with Lucene, but they're familiar enough with regexes to be able to want to use that. And that's going to have to be added as well, but those are really great. I mean, this was designed to keep it simple.
What about shard management?
We don't actually have any explicit shard management in here, but knowing where things are at with shifting the roles of the various instances around, that's a critical piece to add as well. And I like that idea.
Should I just go sit back next to Sam?
You want to come sit by me?
If you want, honestly, Eric.
I have the microphone.
It's more the lights right in my eyes, and I can see you where you are at better than I can see Sam because of how the lights are.
So I think I came in a couple minutes late, so maybe I missed this. So on the simple interface, the other tabs on the left-hand side, are they?
Oh, they're all still the complex.
Okay.
Yeah, your alerts pages, your admin pages.
So essentially, the only thing that really changes is just the actual
Just the dashboards.
search dashboards.
The dashboards and that home page.
All right, you're up, Sam.
And while we're sitting here talking about this, you saw Seamus mention yesterday, farewell, big, ugly, green add log source button. That was here and multiple places under here. It is now here. The big plus with the green circle. We kept the green around. It's a smaller green button, and it probably looks better in dark mode. So let's go there.
Jason, we got John in the back here.
Yeah?
I got an easy question.
Shoot.
I'm not as complex as Eric and Sam. What are you would show the default kind of going to be available Apache dashboard? I'm just wondering what other default kind of dashboards are there already?
The same as we had before. The default, my default dashboard, which is basically this Nagios Log Server search dashboard that comes out of the box. With literally just a histogram that by default matches star, and you'll scene query everything. You get the histogram, you get whatever you've got configured. I believe that by the default it's configured 5 total pages, 58 logs per page for a total of 250. That's all configurable and savable. There's that. There's the classic top data sources and types, where you're getting your logs from, type, syslog, Apache access, Apache error, the simple table, simple-ish table. There's the classic top log sources and, my apologies, the classic Apache dashboard, which has histogram of Apache stuff, and it's explicitly filtered on the log type being Apache access. I have dreams with this of getting rid of the phrase Apache in things, and obviously, yeah, we've got histograms for bandwidth used, events, logs, and I don't think I have something quite configured right on this or on my log processing for it. And then we got the empty dashboard that you can go in and add a row, test row. I have fat fingers. It's annoying sometimes. And then we can go in and add a panel, whatever we want. Add another histogram. Boom, histogram. Now, this is all going back into stuff that came out in 2024 R2. And I know he doesn't like being called out for it, but the man who made this all possible and made it as kick-ass as it is sitting right here in the front corner of the room. Everybody say hi, Griffin. He's the artificial G that we put in when we couldn't figure out a good acronym for replacing the ELK stack, because we still had the L. The E was replaced with O for OpenSearch. Kibana went away, so we're calling it the log stack, and it's the Logstash, OpenSearch, and Griffin stack. So, and I apologize for calling you out, Griffin, but you did such a wonderful job on that. This would not be, 2024 R2 would not be what it is and what it looks like without the work of that man.
Well, you really made it awkward, didn't you, Jason?
I try.
Is there anybody else you'd like to call out while you got the mic? You're on stage.
Let's see, I called out Seamus. I've called out Eric by name.
So as Jason had said, this is a hands-on
What?
log server. Grill him. Make him fumble around. Like, what do you guys want to see?
I don't know, Paul, would that be a violation of company policies?
No, it's not with Eric. He's a 3-time Nagios MVP.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if
He's
anybody
like-
should be able to
he's
do it,
like
it should be
almost
Eric.
one of us, right?
Yes, exactly. Anybody else? All right, here we go.
All right.
Hey, Nathan.
So we'll put you on the spot. I want to see how you configure like a graph easily with the system.
Oh, go ahead. Let's put me on the spot. What kind of graph do you want to?
Pick something random with the grains.
New panel. Queries all. Field type. Maximum of 10 types. There's only going to be 3. You saw them: syslog, Apache access, Apache error.
All right.
We'll call it a bar chart and save it. And there's your graph. Well over 1 million. I'm estimating over 1 million. Yeah. Well over 1 million syslog entries, a tiny bit of Apache. And because I am a good web developer, there aren't a whole lot of errors there. Because remember, all of that is coming from my own website. We can go further with that. We can flip that around. I'm not going to save these dashboards. We're just here for playing around with. But we can go back to the terms and change that from a bar chart into the pie chart. And again, overwhelming majority of these are syslog entries that came from my log server in the last 24 hours, and a good third of those, if you look, say sudo something as we're running jobs in the background. and my tiny fraction of Apache access, and my even tinier sliver of, it doesn't even, the yellow doesn't even show up there.
Quick view of the health check of the cluster and how easy it is to add additional nodes to the cluster.
Additional, there's work in progress to get adding a node back to the web install page. Right now, because of the nature of OpenSearch and how the security works for that, because that's another thing that, and this is going back to 2024 R2 with OpenSearch, when we used Elasticsearch, there was no security between the communication between the log server front end and back end and OpenSearch. If you looked at Netstat, you'd see that OpenSearch, or that Elasticsearch, there you go, Paul. That Elasticsearch was listening only on localhost, and that's because it was getting its requests only from localhost. With OpenSearch, we wanted to make that authenticated API so that if you wanted to as a user, you could create your own API access directly to OpenSearch and have it listen on other interfaces. Part of the difficulty with adding a node to a cluster from the web interface after you've done the full install, part of the difficulty with doing that is we have to set up SSL certificates for communication between the instances, and we do that beforehand, and there's a lot of OpenSearch that's already set up and running by the time you get to that web install point. And there have been many requests, and there are issues in the queue to put that back into the web install. And that's going to end up involving shutting down OpenSearch on the instance that you're installing on and restarting it. Which, obviously, if Log Server can't communicate with it, when it's done, you're going to see that down page if you've ever seen that before. And we want to try to avoid that, and that's the difficulty with that. But at the moment, adding an instance /full install -a, you put in the URL of your parent node, of your we'll call it a manager node, but whatever in the cluster, give it a name, and give it your API key from your Nagios admin user so that the communication can happen back and forth. I mean, you all know where the API key is, right? Pointing at my screen like you can see where I'm pointing. You'll give it that API key, and then the install process will go grab the signing certificate, grab the signing key, generate a certificate for your node so that everybody knows that everybody's signed by the same source, and it's, okay, I'm okay to talk to you. So it's a little bit more awkward on the front end, but we want to get that back in the web install side of things so that it's just as seamless as it has been in the past.
All right, so it seems like I've been asking a lot of the hard questions this week. With your new geolocation library integration, can you now do haver scene-based queries from the log data?
I don't understand your question.
So taking in a distance into account, but taking in the curvature of the Earth. So let's say we're looking at a security implementation, and I want to know if this person who just logged out in New York that I know
Just
is
logged
flying,
in over in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Has he actually had enough time to physically get to that location?
Has it been 5 hours since he logged out before he logged back in again?
Right. Or
Yeah.
did you do it in 2 hours, because then I know there's no possibility.
Right. There is, but the Concorde hasn't flown in years.
Or he's Superman.
I don't have an answer to that question. I am not all that familiar with how the Lucene actually works for that sort of query off the top of my head. It's never been something that I've thought to do, but it's one of those things, your use case is great in light of the fact of, we've got NNA moving to a more security-oriented tool than what it has been, and that's a great security thing.
Well, and the good news is that now they have access to the Slack channel, the NWC 2025 Slack channel, so you have direct access, and maybe we can answer that question or figure it out for you.
Sam, were you in my presentation on Tuesday morning? Okay, fair enough. I get it. But there were a lot that I wanted to go. I went to yours, and I wanted to go to Blake's at the same time. I get it. But one of the slides I pulled out from my intro to me is, I want you to use Log Server for everything. Your servers, your applications, your network devices, your IoT devices, if you can. I want you to use it for it, but at the same time, I want you to tell me what you're using it for. So please, please, please take advantage of that Slack channel and get that stuff to us. And obviously we can never promise anything other than that we'll see what we can do about it. Because there's a lot of good ideas that come from these conferences. And there's a lot of good ideas that you win every argument in the shower after. Why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that during the conference? Use the Slack channel and tell us.
So one thing I want to say, this gets to what Nate said, asked about how easy is it to create a dashboard, something on a dashboard. Something I'll ask the devs to put on their list is this. It's something we did in XI 2026. So if you've used XI in the past and you wanted to create a dashboard for something, you have to create a dashboard and then add individual dashlets to it. Well, in XI 2026, we have what are called dashboard wizards. So you can say, create a dashboard for this particular host or this particular host group, and it will create a dashboard and add a bunch of magical unicorn dashlets all over that look great, like basically a pre-populated dashboard. So I think that we should put this on the list for like a feature request for Log Server, that we have essentially dashboard wizards. Like, for example, wouldn't it be nice to have a wizard that you could say create a dashboard for Apache stuff, or 404 errors, or Microsoft audit events, or system failures, or something that we basically pre-populate a dashboard, a new dashboard with different dashlets showing different data. We apply the Lucene queries and get the data that we think by default people would want. That gives them a starting point, because it can be a little daunting to pull up the menu to create a dashlet, and you're presented with like 10 options. You don't exactly know what you want.
So in other words, so that instead of having necessarily that easy button, as we called them in the past, dropping down there, you put that in your dashboard. What does it say? I want that right there. And oh yeah, like I said, I'm a bad developer because I don't have a sitemap on my website. I don't care. That's not for me.
How many, just out of curiosity, raise your hands, how many people would want to see a dashboard wizard like that in Log Server? Okay, something easy. So that's like that. This is like so we should prioritize this. Like make it look present the data in a nice format, make it look good, easy for even advanced users. Nobody wants to have to spend their time moving shit around and configuring a bunch of stuff. So let's do that. But before I end here, I'm gonna get you Nagios branded flip down sunglasses, so you do not need to look like you are searching through the Sahara to see who's in the audience.
And yeah, I don't know if you were in here earlier, but it was bouncing back and forth between Eric and Sam. And it's like, Eric, I can see you just fine, but it's just where that light is right in my face.
Speaking of Eric and Sam, they didn't take my microphone away, so I just want to add to that real
Eric,
fast.
you can just take it home with you, I'm sure.
It's got my name on it now.
Yes.
But along this dashboard thing, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to put it out there so everybody else can hear it. If I come up with a bitchin' awesome dashboard that I want to share with my friends, can I do that?
Let's go back to the dashboards.
And then I'm going to give Paul the microphone.
And thank you, Eric, for giving me something to actually get our hands dirty with. But let's go to Seamus's kick-ass Apache dashboard that came from Eric's kick-ass Apache dashboard. That little arrow right here, export. That will take that dashboard and export it to give you, what do you want to call your file, and it'll export that to a JSON file. Once you've got that, in fact, that's how I actually did this. I yanked this dashboard from Seamus's cluster and then went and imported it. There's the button. And somewhere in here is that file. I saved it years ago and then imported that using the import tool. So you can share it with your friends. As a follow-up, though, to what Ethan said and me begging you to use the Slack channel for things, I want to hear what your use cases are, people. I want to know what you're collecting logs from. And then I want to know what you're searching for, because that's going to really help us be able to create options for the dashboard wizard that Ethan wants us to create. And it's really hard. I mean, I set up a VPN connection to my home server so that I could keep ingesting syslog and Apache log data for that. So I had cool shit to show today. Because if all I'm collecting is stuff from my log server in-house as a developer, I don't get the map, because RFC 1918 addresses don't geocode. And I want to see what you're doing. I want to see what you're collecting logs from. And I want to see what you're searching for. I understand there are rules that may prevent you from sharing some of that stuff. But I would greatly appreciate it if you shared what you could, because it'll help us help you.
So maybe, Eric, I don't remember if this is what we did, but maybe what we ought to do, I think we did this in the past, maybe that's why you came up with the better Apache dashboard. We ought to do like a community contest, like the community, our customers, and say, we're looking for inspiration on dashboards for visualizing certain types of data really well. Submit your dashboard here, put it on Exchange, we'll run some kind of contest, and that will give everybody the ability to import community contributed dashboards and maybe help provide inspiration for the dashboard wizard stuff too. So maybe let's put that on the list.
So we'll go with maybe easy question, maybe not an easy question. So I don't use Log Server yet, hopefully maybe in the future, but I use XI. So just thinking even beyond Log Server. So between, let's just say, XI, Network Analyzer, Log Server, would there be a way to potentially synchronize host groups or service groups that would then allow you to have updated filtering and not have to go in because I need to add a new database server?
I've had these dreams. I'm not in a position to make those decisions or make any commitments on that, but I have communicated a lot of that stuff to Ethan, and he is. So hopefully he'll take some of these ideas and say, yeah, we need to do this stuff too, because there's no reason that, it's software. We can do whatever we want.
Okay, right before we wrap this up, because we got to kick you off stage. One thing that I'd like to do, we've talked about this internally. You guys have access to Slack. Please use it. Here's why. Here's what we want to do. We want to offer this to you first, okay? We would like to have a very small, tight group of community and customers who have inside access to us. Like, we put you on basically an R&D review team. Like, so we actually might have like a monthly or a quarterly Zoom call with a couple of you and say, what do you really need? What are your pain points? How do we change what we have to make it better suited for you? So if you want access to that, join Slack, because only 6 people have joined so far. We want to get everybody there, and then you've got input, direct access to us. Thank you.
Yes, and this could be a huge mistake. You guys could bother us, and it could be a lot, but we are putting ourselves out there because we want to know. All right, the only presenter that did a true mic drop at the Nagios 2025 conference, Jason Michaelson. You just watched a presentation from the 2025 Nagios World Conference. If you'd like to learn more about future conferences, go to nagios.com/conference. So many things happen here in person, and we would love it if you visited our headquarters in St. Paul, Minnesota. While you're on our channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? So much Nagios content is constantly being created. Thanks for watching.